All right, hello folks. Just doing a little check-in here. It's 12:45 here on Friday night. I guess technically Saturday morning, June 28th here. No severe thunderstorm warnings, but I'm sure that it's getting a lot of people's attention with what's going on out there. It's not like it was the other night where we had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. The only warning we had was just issued. It goes until 3:45 in the morning, and that is a flash flood warning. I figured that was going to be coming pretty soon. And that's for Bibb into Peach and a little bit of Crawford there. And what's going on is it's basically just circling this area right here where it's just too much rain over and over. So what we had going here tonight, talking a lot about outflow boundaries. We had an outflow boundary coming in from the north like this, and then we've had some other breeze coming in together, and they're all colliding in this one spot. And so that's the reason why the storms are standing up, but they're not moving anywhere really. So they're just all kind of stuck in place, this line, and putting down some pretty heavy rainfall, as you can tell. Matter of fact, I was just looking a minute ago. It's probably not going to give us a great idea, but 2.5 inches, almost 3 inches of rain already just over these past hour and a half, and obviously still adding on to it. So a lot of rain in this area. No severe weather with it though. Storms to the south, those have been fizzling out. Stuff to the north, all around Atlanta and all that, and in some of our northern counties, that's still going a little bit for Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair, Milledgeville with some light rain, steadier rain through Gray. But it's this main area in the middle, anywhere from, we'll say Gray, through Macon, down through Byron, and Fort Valley's not technically in the flood warning, but you've been getting a pretty good bit of rain. But inside that green polygon is where it's just been pouring for so long, and it's not shutting off just yet. Been trying to kind of get an idea of when these storms might be starting to weaken down. Talked about it the other night, looking at lightning strikes as they go gray. That's showing older strikes. So look at some of these that are going to be dropping off the map. What you want to see is fewer and fewer of the bright white ones, or the ones that just glowed like that one right there, the new ones that come on. And that would give an indication there's a new one right there that maybe trying to wind this down, but so far not seeing that happen. So it's just going to take time for this to whittle itself down and eventually work the atmosphere over. Everybody else was seeing rain. There's storms to our north, storms to our south. And it was just a matter of time for those outflow boundaries hit each other. And as a matter of fact, you can see the one from the north. See if I can catch it. There it goes right there. Watch right, that green line that just went through. That was the wind earlier tonight coming in, and we had a convergence of wind coming from some of the south as well, and that's really where everything got popped up. So it's where all this is meeting in the middle, and there's really nothing to steer this. There's no driver to push this one way or the other because it was from outflows coming from two different directions. So it's just going to have to rain itself out. And you see that in these summertime situations when you're going to get a flash flooding situation is storms that will initiate from outflows coming from different directions, but there's not one winning out over the other to really push it. If anything, there is a little movement toward the northwest, but then also it's really just growing into where the instability is. So there's still instability up here, Jones County heading toward North Bibb into Monroe. So it's just working its way, building into where there's more food for it to gobble up. Down here, it's starting to build more toward the south and east, toward places like Perry. And that's a newer part of this cluster. That's where we're seeing some of the brighter white lightning strikes. So this is kind of still a building part of thunderstorms from Peach going into Houston County, Macon County, Marshallville area there. So if you're to the east of all this, probably not going to see much of anything. I think it's really just going to be waiting for this whole area to work over the atmosphere and just gobble up all the heat and humidity out there. And until it can do all that, It's going to keep going, making rain and rumbles here. So, but no warnings. So I just wanted to come on and let you know that it's not the same as what we saw the other night. It's putting on a lightning show, that's for sure out there, but it's mainly the rainfall. It's just so heavy with this. And eventually it will whittle itself down. It just may take a couple hours before it does that. So let's take a look at the big picture. Storm's still going in Alabama, but you can see the same kind of situation. This is data trying to load in, so it's got a little bit of a lag. They had that problem in Atlanta earlier tonight, which has really backed the airport up a ton from what I've been looking at. They had a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, and then it just stayed doing what it's doing for us right now and what it's doing over here outside Birmingham. See, it just takes time for these storms to whittle down, and then eventually the lightning falls out, but then the rain remains until it finally just works the atmosphere over, and it took a while in Atlanta to do the same thing. Let's go up top. The Macon Skycam is showing some rain. There were times out there where we couldn't see anything, just a blinding rain. Let's check on. Check on Perry. And rain is getting the new storm is building in. Getting closer to the fairgrounds and crossing over 75. I'm going to try to spin around so you can see it. This one's going to be coming in from the west, like a normal thunderstorm motion that you would normally think of. Everything's moving just in different directions tonight. While you look at that, I'm going to just off to the side take a look at Warner Robins. Yep, we'll take that one. All right, so you can see this about to load in. So not raining there in Warner Robins yet, at least not here on 96, but probably won't be long before we'll start to see that. So another late night. Again, one Wednesday night was the crazier one to me. That's the one that just had many, many thousands of lightning strikes and severe thunderstorm warnings. This is more of thunderstorms that seem fairly tame. Hopefully they stay that way. And they're just big rainmakers. The Peach County stuff heading toward Houston is the newer storm, and that's where we're seeing a little bit of hail, seeing a little bit in Macon County there, some pea-sized hail as you get into parts of Peach County. Between Marshallville and Montezuma, that's where we're seeing the biggest hail core right now. That's probably about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Barron's Lane Road, Tom Adams Road, intersection right there. So this storm is still strengthening down in this area. And so what we're going to see, I think, is up top here, you're starting to see the Bibb and Jones County parts kind of not seeing as much red in there, so the heavy rain is starting to kind of give way. In Jones County, you've probably seen it flare up a little bit, like in Monroe. That's untouched area. When you see the bright red spots, that's going to be thunderstorms that are moving on in and starting to kind of grow a little bit. But in the Macon area, that's kind of starting to go more yellow. As you roll on down through Byron, Fort Valley, Marshallville to Montezuma, again, this is where I was showing you where the hail core is greatest here. And as we're looking on the Perry Skycam and the Warner Robins Skycam, we're looking off that way, seeing some of the lightning flashes. But again, the flash flood warning is the only one that we have, that green polygon, and it's just where these storms have started and just have not had a whole lot of movement. So we're seeing, though, again, the storms are now just trying to feed into where there's instability, food for these storms to get going. So what you're seeing now is, instead of just sitting here as a line, now it's branching out, grabbing some of that more muggy air, Monroe County into Jones County, and then on the south side of this, branching out Taylor County, Macon County, down into Houston. And eventually this will, right now it's in the increasing stage. Eventually it will work itself over and start to kind of fall apart, but right now that's not happening. Let's go back, look at the sky cam for Warner Robins there. And I will switch us over to the Perry sky cam. Again, not severe. At this moment, we're not seeing severe thunderstorm warnings for any of this. And we had a few warnings this afternoon in the heat of the day, but not since then. Now, the Weather Service, you know, they'll put out special weather statements just saying, hey, we're keeping an eye on this, but it's not big enough to go severe with it. So they're obviously keeping an eye on it in Peachtree City. Okay, so this is the latest word from Peachtree. Flood warning has been issued. Obviously, I was just talking about it for portions of Bibb, Peach, and Crawford. A strong complex of storms is stalled over the area with rainfall rates estimated to be up to 2 inches per hour. And we're already seeing quick stream flow response as well. So that means that creeks and streams and rivers and stuff like that, areas that are prone to flash flooding are filling up pretty quickly. 2 inches an hour, that's a pretty good bit of rain. I can tell the rain on the roof here at the station is lighter than it was. And what we'll do is we'll take off the lightning. So just to get a sense, just to look at the color in the Macon area going from that really bright red and purple to more of an orange and yellow, that's the intensity of the rain coming down. So it's ratcheting down, it's weakening some, but still putting down a pretty good bit of rain. But not as much as that bright red. Now where you see the bright red now is Macon County, Peach into Houston, because these are new storms developing, especially the one in Macon County there. Let's see about the hail there. Still a little bit, not a ton. Pea-size hail in Peach County and into Macon County there again. Maybe a ½ inch in diameter, but sometimes it can kind of get a little bit of a skew because the rainfall rates are so heavy that I wonder sometimes if those are actually hailstones in that. Like we had it come over the station earlier and I went outside and never saw any hail in it, but I mean there could have been a little bit mixed in, but majority of what this is seeing is that's just a ton of rain. So it might be a little mixture of rain and hail. Again, no severe thunderstorm warnings. If you're just joining in with us, this is a flash flood warning. Bibb, Crawford, and Peach until 3:45. It just means we've had way too much rain in a short amount of time and the storms are stalled, so they're not moving. We're eventually going to see that part in the middle weaken down, and it's going to be these edges. You can see Monroe County around Juliet and down in the south. So now, kind of an outflow from the outflow. Now that the downdraft of these storms is creating wind on the outside edge here, and so now we're seeing storms feeding off of that, or at least this storm is just trying to tap into where there's instability. There's still warm and muggy air out there, and so that's what they like. So it's just going to keep feeding into there. Let's go back to that Perry sky cam. I bet the thing's probably seeing some rain by now. Not really yet, but it should be coming in any moment now. I can see it coming across the interstate off in the distance out there where the American flag is. Again, these are just good soaker thunderstorms. I mean, they're just putting down a lot of rain. Here it comes. And like if you've been in any of these areas where these storms have been coming in tonight, it goes to like no rain and all of a sudden it's just pouring. So it's like a quick, hey, how you doing? Here I am. And you can see the rain bands coming across 75 there, so. Probably move in pretty sharp and just all of a sudden be pouring. Yeah, the part of the Peach, Macon County, and Houston County is the newest part of the storm that's developing now, and it's really starting to kind of take off down around Perry here. So I'm going to shift this over just a touch so we can see the rain a little better in the light. Yeah, so it's just going to take some time for this to work itself over tonight. Again, no severe thunderstorm warnings, just the one flash flood warning for Bibb, Crawford, and Peach counties until 3:45. But even if the new storms that are firing up, the new section that's in Macon County into Houston County, if that gets stalled and sits for a while, we could end up with another flash flood warning there. Just not a whole lot to steer these things around tonight. All right, I'm just looking for some other things off to the side. Hail still looks pretty small for Peach and Macon counties. All right, so let's see about, we'll check back in on this camera in a second, although it does look like it's moving on in, doesn't it? Yeah, you see the rain coming in. There it is down there on the parking lot coming toward the west gate entrance. Yeah. There it comes. So again, with some of that wording from the National Weather Service, some of these storms, especially the one that's been in Bibb, Crawford, and Peach, putting down about 2 inches per hour of rain, which is a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and that's the reason for the flash flood warning. Again, no other warnings, no severe thunderstorm warnings or anything like that. Let's check in on Warner Robins. Yeah, sky's definitely wicked looking here down on 96. We're on top of Central Georgia Technical College here. That's Freedom Field out in the distance. Once again, this is not the same as what we saw the other night on Wednesday night when we had all those severe thunderstorm warnings, and we had more lightning that night too. If you remember, it was a powder keg out there. We had a heat index of 114, 115 in some of our places, and still 105 to 110 even late at night that night with the heat index. Let's go back to the radar. And, you know, what you're seeing is what we would expect is just after you get stalled thunderstorms like that, you're just seeing it branch out on the sides. Again, all of this, just think about it as untouched atmosphere that these storms love. So this is very warm and muggy up here in Monroe County and Jones County, so it's feeding that way. It's feeding south down here into Macon County and Houston County. Not so much in our eastern counties. I'm not seeing anything want to move that way. It's mainly kind of just clustering in this area. Again, as we look at the hail, there's a little bit of small hail in Macon County. That's about it. Other than that, these are just rainmakers that are big rainmakers. I mean, they're making a lot of rain. And a decent lightning show out there. Again, nothing compared to what we saw the other night. So what I look for on situations like this, again, is taking the lightning away. and just look at the different color shades. All right, so notice again in the Macon area, notice how we've gone from that really bold, bright red and almost purple at times, which is really heavy rain, to more of oranges and yellows, so even light yellows. So that means it's coming down in intensity, so we're starting to see that weaken down. As we go farther toward the south, that's what's going on in Peach, Macon County, and Houston counties. That is still really kind of developing. For anywhere from Warner Robins to Perry on over between Marshallville and Montezuma. This is still just in the early stages of that storm. So this should take some time to work its way over, and then it'll start to go the other way toward yellows. But right now it's still got all that water content in the air. I mean, that's what muggy air is, just full of water. So it's got to squeeze all that out. Dooley County and Crisp County so far, kind of quiet. Of course, that's where we saw some storms earlier this afternoon. So some of that area may have already gotten worked over. So these are places that have not been touched all afternoon. Again, storms in Atlanta, storms to our south, over to the east and everything. And finally, the outflow, the breeze from all that collided here late at night to pop these storms up. So you probably heard me say it's either going to be afternoon and evening thunderstorms, or sometimes it's going to be late night stuff like this. But again, not severe, which is good. And I don't anticipate that we will see severe weather with this. I think it's just going to be what we're seeing now, which is just a whole lot of rain and rumbles. Again, the only warning technically that we do have is that flash flood warning for Bibb, Crawford, and Peach until 3:45, which is, they just put a time on the end of that just to kind of give it time for the rain to stop and then for the creeks and streams and all that to flow out. So other than that, we're just kind of in a watch and wait to see when these, I'm hoping that this is the last little bit that's developing here from Peach, Macon County into Houston. So far, I don't see it wanting to spread somewhere else. So if this is the new part that's developed, let it work itself over and rain itself out. And then to the north in Monroe County and Jones County, you can see how those around Juliet just now blew up right over the lake. So we'll see if that turns into some heavier rain there. Again, to our eastern counties, I don't anticipate anything building over that way. I think it's mainly going to stay kind of where it is and work itself over. Let's see if there's a new high-res model that's come in. It's not really picking up on what we have, so that's not going to help us there. How about the graph? It sort of has an idea of what's happening, and it shows, again, you can see everything just eventually works itself out. So I would imagine over the next hour or so, this stuff will, at some point it's going to hit its peak of heavy rain and then work itself down, but it may take a little time down here in Peach County, Macon County, and Houston. And then up here in Monroe and Jones, again on the outside periphery where this stalled setup has been, which is weakening now, it's around the edges now is where those storms are blowing up. So really just for those who love great summertime thunderstorm nights, I mean, this is a great setup for one of those. Good heavy rain, some rumbles out there, and no severe weather. But I just want to let you know we're keeping an eye on it. If you don't hear from me, that just means that there's no reason to hear from me. There's no severe weather out there. But I know after what we had a couple of nights ago, probably a lot of people were like, hey, what is this? So just some good old summertime thunderstorms out there. So enjoy them. If I need to pop back on later, I will. Otherwise, enjoy and have a great night.